The main key art for Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave has been released, and we are potentially looking at what may be the brand new avatar protagonist for Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. Hello, I'm Mirror Limit, and welcome to the channel, and let's get into the discussion. First and foremost, the controversial avatar system was originally introduced to us in Fire Emblem New Mystery of the Emblem, exclusively on the Nintendo DS in Japan. This was the 12th entry in the Fire Emblem series, and was a remake of the original Fire Emblem Mystery of the Emblem that released on the Super Famicom or SNES. In Fire Emblem New Mystery of the Emblem, you can customize your own avatar with the canon name of Chris, and personally have your own character that is also doing something in the story. This new avatar feature was notably popular, as in the games after it, most of them featured avatar protagonists original to the game. Fire Emblem Awakening had Robin, Fire Emblem Fates had Corrin, Fire Emblem Heroes had Kieran. Do we count Kieran? You know what, sure, Kieran's on the scene. Fire Emblem Three Houses on the Nintendo Switch had Byleth, Fire Emblem Warriors Three Hopes had Shez, and Fire Emblem Engage had Allier. Which this has kind of been extensive, listing out all of the avatar protagonists, because this is kind of consisting of most of the modern Fire Emblem games. Most of the modern Fire Emblem games that do not have avatar protagonists consist of Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia, the original Fire Emblem Warriors, and Fire Emblem Shadows? I will never let them live this game down, at all. But still, back to the point, most modern Fire Emblem games include an avatar protagonist. And honestly, you can even say that the prototype for the avatar system in the modern Fire Emblem games was given to us all the way back in Fire Emblem The Blazing Blade. However, Mark didn't play much of a narrative role back in Fire Emblem The Blazing Blade. But despite all of that, you can say that this idea of incorporating an avatar protagonist was given to them all the way back on the Game Boy Advance. However, the Fire Emblem avatar system hasn't been the most welcome in the fandom. There are even some people that very much despise the avatar system in Fire Emblem. Some older Fire Emblem fans even feel that the avatar system has oversaturated the franchise. Now, if you were expecting me to make this video an 8-minute video of me hating Fire Emblem avatar protagonists, then you're wrong. Like, yes, I find issues within the avatar system for Fire Emblem games. However, my first Fire Emblem game was Fire Emblem Fates Birthright. I was already steering closer to the series during the 3DS era. Like, two major things that made me really want to try out Fire Emblem was one, Robin getting into Smash 4, and secondly, it was Etika's stream series of Fire Emblem Awakening. At the time Fire Emblem Awakening dropped, I wasn't even 10 years old, and the game was rated T for teen, so you can imagine how that went. However, when Fire Emblem Fates released, I ended up getting it. Fire Emblem Fates Birthright to be exact. After this, I began to tackle the previous games in the series. This was how I learned how different the 3DS games were to the older Fire Emblem games in the series. Did it make me like the era of Fire Emblem that I started with less? No, not really. While yes, I understood what made a game like Fire Emblem Fates a black sheep within the fandom, I still appreciated what that game did and how it introduced me into Fire Emblem beyond what I already knew. And then you go down the timeline of future releases after Fire Emblem Fates and you find more avatar protagonists. And some of these avatar protagonists have even caused discourse within the Fire Emblem fandom. There was even an avatar protagonist in the modern games that I had. I'll pause the video right there, and here we go. Hello, thank you for making it this far in the video, it's Mira. And if you're currently enjoying the video right now, please be sure to hit the like button, and if you want to see more Fire Emblem content, please hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you never miss another video again. I also have a Discord server, so if you would like to join that, be sure to click the link in the description below. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the video. My main issue with Byleth as a silent protagonist is that they don't speak. Almost every piece of dialogue they give is wrapped around the player's choices themselves, which is very much different from Robin and Corrin in the past games. Obviously, there is a narrative reason for Byleth to be this emotionless, silent protagonist. However, when the second half of the game begins, your students will often tell you how you become this different person from when you first met them. However, you'll barely see any changes from Byleth or emotion from them as a character. You have some key moments where Byleth will shine as a character, and then you're just left wanting more. However, I don't hate Byleth, that's just my main issue with Byleth as a protagonist. And then you have Allier and Fire Emblem Engage, which was never the fondest of their design when they got revealed, but I was willing to give the game a chance. And yeah, game's pretty good. Love the gameplay. I just didn't take Fire Emblem Engage as serious as I did Fire Emblem Three Houses, as it was an anniversary title. Like, let them have fun every now and then. Despite being called the Divine Dragon every 5 seconds. That just leaves Shez, and if I'm being honest, I have not played Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes yet. However, I might give it a try. Let me know in the comments below if you think this is a good game or not. And now we have what we would assume is our brand new avatar protagonist. And their name is Eshemel, which I've heard multiple theories that the name Eshemel is actually a play on the Hebrew name Ishmael, which essentially the name means God is heard. Which the current alias of Eshemel is Herald of the Pale Raven. And this alias has absolutely opened the floodgates for theories regarding the avatar protagonist. However, I'm kind of concerned. I'm really concerned that if Eshemel is actually the avatar protagonist, I hope that they don't reduce them to a silent protagonist. I think making dialogue options through them would be fine. However, I'd love to see them have their own dialogue options. I just want to be allowed to be surprised with this new protagonist. I know many have said that it's a weird thing to hide the fact that there's an avatar protagonist, which I'm unsure if hiding the protagonist was the intent, because why would you hide what's on the box art? However, I do agree that it is strange that they weren't in the reveal trailer. However, that might also be to showcase the 4 protagonists that the game will also have on the side. And even then, who knows if this is an avatar protagonist that is traditional to the previous ones. We've seen gameplay with the multiple protagonists in the calendar-filled style. And from the gameplay that we saw in the recent trailer, it looks very much like an evolution of what we saw and played in Fire Emblem Three Houses. There's also the idea that if we control Eshemel in Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, that we might also have to make an alignment. As in Fire Emblem Fates, you had 3 routes to select, and in Fire Emblem Three Houses, you also had 3 houses to pick at the beginning. However, I hope that they don't do something like this again. Like, this format of storytelling is very popular, and even in Fire Emblem Three Hopes there's a route selection. However, these systems remove the room to have a definitive ending. I feel like if they were to include another route system, it should be more akin to Fire Emblem the Blazing Blade or Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia. In Fire Emblem the Blazing Blade, you start off in Lynn's point of view. It's kinda pretty much the tutorial segment of the game. However, after chapter 10, Eliwood takes the mantle as the main protagonist of the game for the rest of it. And in Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia, you always had a point of view change in between each chapter. Storytelling wise, I thought it was really cool that both stories were intertwined and you got to see the progress that both parties were making as the story progressed. Now, this might be harder for Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave to achieve because there's 4 protagonists. And you'd want to make sure that every protagonist got an equal amount of screen time. So either all of the character campaigns would have to be really short, or Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave would have to be insanely long. Which I don't mind personally, but I don't think that this will happen. Ultimately though, I hope that if Eshemel is the avatar protagonist of Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, I hope that they are interesting. I hope that they make their own decisions in the game. Me personally, I'm fine with avatar protagonists, however, they have to stay interesting. I also understand the strong disdain for these avatar protagonists as well, as this franchise has had a plethora of main protagonists that did not have to rely on being a self-insert. However, as worried as I am for this main protagonist, I am 10 times more optimistic for this game. Like, everything that I've seen from this game looks incredibly fun, and I cannot wait to be able to play it in September, which this game releases in a little over 3 months. But yeah, I'm excited for this game, and I think this game will be incredible. But what do you guys think? Are you guys excited for Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave? How do you guys feel about yet another potential avatar protagonist in the game? Do you think that this avatar protagonist is actually a potential antagonist? As from what I know from Fire Emblem Three Hopes, Violet actually served as an antagonist in that game's narrative, so we ultimately cannot know whether this character Eshemel is friend or foe. But yeah, I'd love to see what you guys think. Thank you so much for making it this far in the video. If you've enjoyed the video, please be sure to hit the like button, and if you would love to see more Fire Emblem content, Kingdom Hearts content, Xenoblade content, or whichever content that I cook up at the time, then be sure to hit the subscribe button and press the notification bell and you'll never miss a video again. And this is once again a reminder that I have a Discord server in the description link below, so if you'd love to chat, be sure to slide through. And yeah, this has been Mira, and take care.